So we pick it up here. We pick it up here in the first book of Kings, chapter 15, right? And one of the things that we kind of see, we've seen the progression from then up until now, from King David through Solomon, through Solomon's son Rehoboam, and then through the split. And just one thing that I think that we should kind of bear in mind. God, when he cursed David for what David did, or when he punished, let me not say cursed, when he punished David for what David did, God sent trouble into David's family. And that trouble that God sent into David's family, it was very difficult for David's family to overcome that trouble. And I think that just justifies the point that when our family structure is broken, it makes it very difficult for us to, it makes very difficult for the nation to continue to move forward when you have broken families. Because the fact of the matter is the nation is made up of families. So when you have families and some families doing more and a little bit doing less, then you have the families that's doing more get tired. When you have fathers that need to spend more time away from their children because some of the men are only doing part of the job, then what you have is you have those children are now missing that time with their parent. Broken homes go a long way. And I think if we just kind of consider that, and if we start to put together families in a righteous manner, and we start to bring our families together, listen, I know it's hard. I know. I ain't trying to say nothing negative. I lived with somebody for a long time. It's hard to live with somebody. Anybody in here live with somebody? I'm talking about like a spouse. Anybody in here live with a spouse? It's hard. It's hard, right? I'm just saying. Right? You go in your sock drawer and you looking for a specific pair of socks to wear to work, and your spouse got the socks on her foot. You know what I'm saying? Walking around the house. You know what I'm saying? Listen, your spouse, you trying to cook, and I'm talking about man or woman. I'm talking you trying to cook, man or woman, and your spouse keep walking back and forth, and you can't focus on cooking because they like, all right, what you put in there? You know I don't like avocados. What you put in there? You ain't sneak no hot sauce in that chicken, did you? Hard to live with somebody. So, nah, not together. Nah, I ain't. Look, see, you gotta try some hot sauce and avocados. You on your own, bro. So, and I just leave that as a message for the young men and women that are at the point where you start looking at, people as a potential mate. Listen, I'm telling you, just look at this person, and you need to look really, really close and ask before you start talking. Because what happens when men and women start talking, they figure out a way to start to like each other. More. Start to like each other more. Because obviously y'all like each other already. That's why y'all started talking. But I'm just saying, look at this person, and you need to see if this is a person that you could live with. Because living with people is hard. You need to look at this person. She looked like a snorer. Snoring got looks. Snorers got looks. Don't I look like I snore? Tell the truth. See? I heard people in the back. Yes. Yes. See? I don't snore no more. Most of the time, I don't. I don't think I snore anyway, but we ain't talking about snoring no more. But just listen, it's a lot of things that we need to consider and we need to think about when you start to look at somebody. Listen, because the funny thing is, looks go away. Looks go away. I remember when I had braids, and listen, people used to look at me, they'd be like, yo, you Cuban? No, I ain't no Cuban. Braid had long braid hair. Look, it was nice. It was curly, all that. Then I remember I cut my hair one day, and this lady said to me, "Oh, man." I said, "What that mean?" She said, "Wow, you just a shell of what you used to be." Yo, I was hurt. And the girl, it didn't even matter. I was hurt. I wanted to try to start to grow my hair back after that, but it just won't grow past a certain point no more. I'm just saying. You take the good compliments with the bad. You know what I'm saying? Good compliments with the bad. I'm just glad it's all still here, covering everything. That's all I can ask for right now. We supposed to be talking about kings, right? All right, I guess we may as well start in the book of Kings. No shit. We ain't got nothing else to do. No shit. We got another hour and plus or minus. You know what I'm saying? May as well open up the book. Come on.
We're in the book of 1 Kings, chapter 15, starting from verse 1. Let us all say hallelujah. Hallelujah. Now in the 18th year of King Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, began Abijam to reign over Yehudah. 3 years reigned he in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Maacah, the daughter of Abishalom. And he walked in all the sins of his father, which he had done before him, and his heart was not whole with Jehovah his God, as the heart of David his father. Nevertheless, for David's sake, did Jehovah his God give him a lamp in Jerusalem, to set up his son after him, and to establish Jerusalem. Because David did that which was right in the eyes of Jehovah, and turned not aside from anything that he commanded him all the days of his life, save only in the matter of Uriah the Hittite.
Hold on. All right. So it's something that I think is very key in here, where it said, and David, his heart was not perfect with Jehovah his God, as the heart of David his father. You know, and you're going to actually see that terminology a little bit later. His heart wasn't perfect. When it comes to being right, when it comes to doing the right thing, that's just not something that happens just because. Right. It's not something that happens out the blue. It's actually something that you need to prepare yourself for. You when you want to when you want to serve God, or you want to serve God right, and so on, things like that, you need to prepare yourself to do that. You need to with certain things that you need to work on in yourself. When it comes to something like, if you're a hot-spirited, spicy kind of person, that's the new term they use, spicy kind of person, you need to work on toning your temperament down. That's not something that you could just come and just, all right, I'm calm now. Okay, you calm now, I'm calm.
I'm mild. Let
one thing happen, you off and gone. You need to prepare yourself to serve God. Remember in the Karate Kid? Wax on, wax off? Remember that? He didn't know that it was preparing him for what he needed in the battle later on, after he kicked him in the shin and got his leg halfway broke. He was preparing himself. Leroy had to prepare himself to get the glow and catch bullets with his teeth. He had to prepare himself for that. It's not something that you just get just like that. Come on.
Verse 6. Now there was war between Rehoboam and Jeroboam all the days of his life. And the rest of the acts of Abijam and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Yehudah? And there was war between Abijam and Jeroboam. And Abijam slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city of David, and Asa his son reigned in his stead.
So they do this kind of quick run through about Abijam, and they talk about the war between Abijam and Jeroboam, and he only reigned 3 years, so it doesn't talk about much. But when you actually go into Chronicles and you read the history of it in Chronicles, him and Jeroboam within those 3 years had some very serious battles. There was this one particular battle that they had where 500 Israelite men lost their life. So a lot of times when we read through this and and there was strife between these two and so on and so forth, and they don't give some of the specifics about what's happening inside the port. Listen, you don't realize, but these were serious civil wars that was going on for years. These were years and years where you had Israelites fighting against Israelites and Israelites killing Israelites. That's actually, I mean, the things that we go through and talk about today is like minor and small. I've been called evil by a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? No matter. This is actually, when you know that we've reached a base point in our history when you have Israelites fighting and killing each other. Come on.
7. And the rest of the acts of Abijam, 9, whoa.
9, okay.
And in the 20th year of Jeroboam, king of Yisrael, began Asa to reign over Judah, and 41 years reigned he in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Ma'akah, the daughter of Abishalom.
Okay, so if you read this part where it says his mother's name was Ma'akah, the daughter of Abishalom, and then you look at 2, and you realize that his father's mother's also was Ma'akah, the daughter of Abishalom, you start to wonder, well, what happened here? What happened here? When, some people say that it was possibly his grandmother. Other people say that she was just like that, don't shoot me for using this term, like the queen mother, like that matriarchal figure, did I say that right? The matriarchal figure that she was the eldest female and she gave advice to a lot of the kings that came after her. Whichever one you want to choose, whatever idea, but they didn't marry, the fathers didn't marry the same girl. It wasn't anything like that. Those are the different sidebars that you read about the explanation of that. Come on.
11. And Asa did that which was right in the eyes of Yahweh, as did David his father. And he put away the Sodomites out of the land and removed all the idols that his fathers had made. And also Ma'akah his mother he removed from being queen, because she had made an abominable image for an Asherah. And Asa cut down her image and burnt it at the brook Kidron. But the high places were not taken away. Nevertheless, the heart of Asa was whole with Yahweh all his days.
Right. So that same queen mother was actually a queen mother. And so he said he had her removed from being queen because of the Asherah that she made. But is where it says right here, the high places were not removed. Nevertheless, Asa's heart was perfect with Yahweh all his days. So when you kind of look at that for a minute, you wonder, well, if he was the king and he had so much power, how could he not have the power to remove all of the high places? Anybody want to venture a guess? I don't really have one either. I mean, I have what I believe happened, but anybody want to venture a guess? Sometimes what happens even when you're in power, it becomes difficult to get certain things established, even though you're in power, and even though it's the right thing to do. Because you always have those certain people who want to go through the political and the bureaucratic mumbo jumbo in order to not change the status quo so they could keep everything the same, because some people like everything being the same. I'll give you an example. Cell phones in school. Everybody recognizes that cell phones in school is a distraction. Everybody recognizes that. Yet, you can't get parent support in when it comes to cell phones in school, because it's like, well, what if I need to get in touch with my kid? Or what if I need to do this? Or what if I need to do that? Which is a valid point, but that's a reason why sometimes it's something that's an unhealthy practice that you just can't banish, or you just can't get. He tried to get rid of the houses to worship. He got all the Sodomites out the land. He did a lot, and God recognized him and appreciated his efforts, but he just wasn't able to get out everything. Because you have some people who are set in their ways that just don't want change. Let's think about it like gun reform for a minute. Listen, you can't get gun reform in this country, even to the smallest degree, to say, All right, we don't want children or mentally unstable people to be able to get guns. And you still get a fight. You still get a fight. It's my right. I can have guns. All right. But listen, you have people that are mentally unstable. Did you see the news with the dude who had like, what was it, like 300-400 guns?
Yes.
Shotguns, rifles, all types of stuff. And they found out that he was mentally unstable. You can't get gun reform in this country, even off of the lives of public school students who are getting shot at alarming rates. People going to school shooting up students. 50 people die, 30 people die. You have people who want to take a stand and say, start to talk about gun reform. And the last stand that they took about gun reform, the NRA came out and made a statement and said, we are surprised at the cowardice of all of these people who are withholding their support from who are trying to make us change and mess up our right. It's our right. Constitution gives us the right to have guns. Yes, we understand that. We recognize that. That was at a time when they were at war and they were preparing a Bill of Rights so that they can have protection against the British. That was the reason for the original Bill of Rights and the right to bear arms. That was the reason.
Right to form a militia. Yeah, to form a militia.
That was the reason for it. Now, in a climate where people are getting shot and killed by just unstable people, everybody doesn't need to have a gun.
Facts.
But it's difficult to make that point because you have the other side of it. Well, it's my right.
Right.
And people, a lot of times what people do is they don't like to separate the two. Because like you have one extreme and you have the other extreme and then you have what happens actually in the middle. And what happens in the middle is, okay, we're not saying that everybody should give up their guns, but we're saying that some people aren't capable and suitable to have them.
Right.
Don't infringe on my rights.
Verse 15. And he brought into the house of Yahweh the things that his father had hallowed, and the things that himself had hallowed, silver and gold and vessels. And there was war between Asa and Baasa, king of Yisrael, all their days.
So Asa was good. So now, just to kind of, what you had was you had Jeroboam and you had Rehoboam, right? And you had Jeroboam and Rehoboam had fights. I mean, they had fights all back and forth, all along. And then you had Rehoboam's son come in and Jeroboam's son come in and there were more fights. And now you have a whole new kingdom set up, which is Baasa, which you're going to read about later. And then there's fighting between Baasa and Asa. And Asa was good. And Baasa was bad. And it just show you that this thing that we going on with these days and times with Israel and can't get along and it's not nothing new.
Right.
We never could get along with people.
Right.
We never get along with each other.
Right.
We love people.
Right.
You could kill our kids. Don't worry about it. Use the N-word. A couple of weeks later, we forgive you. Not a problem. We get over it.
Right. Big cool.
Me and you have an argument. I'm still mad because he said I can't have no girlfriend at 15. I don't know who he think he is. You don't talk to me no more.
Right.
That's what we do. So with a lot of this portion that we're going to go through is just us back and forth, fighting, arguing, back and forth. And you got to, at a certain point, we need to consider that if I call on God, right, and you call on God, and we can't get along and we fighting, somebody ain't really calling on God.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That makes sense.
That
That makes sense. Because if me and you are fighting and killing each other, somebody didn't read the law about if brothers strive together. Somebody didn't read that.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Or you don't care. Come on.
Verse 17. And Baasa, king of Yisrael, went up against Yehuda and built Ramah, that he might not suffer any to go out or come in to Asa, king of Yehuda. Then Asa took all the silver and the gold that
what was happening was, so now, obviously, Baasa was the aggressor.
Yes.
Baasa was the aggressor. So he came and he started building cities because he don't want Asa coming in trying to come past that imaginary border that they had between Israel and Judah.
Yeah.
But Judah wasn't looking to come past that border anyway. But his own paranoia, this is what he wanted to do because I need to build up myself and I need to protect myself.
Then Asa took all the silver and the gold that were left in the treasures of the house of Jehovah and the treasures of the king's house and delivered them into the hand of his servants. And King Asa sent them to Ben-Hadad.
You ever notice, before you go into Ben-Hadad, you ever notice that when all of these portions that you're reading, it don't talk about nobody calling on God?
No.
Right.
God is out the picture.
Not one point.
Yeah.
And what happens is when we take God out of the picture, we leave ourselves to our own devices, and this is what we come up with. So now, but Asa who was good.
Yeah.
He was out of the line of Judah. He was good, right? He got the Sodomites out the land. He kicked his own mother, grandmother, whoever from being queen, all that.
Yeah.
He was good. So now he has Israel coming against him, his own brothers. So now he takes the money. He takes the stuff that David fought for. He took the stuff that Solomon, worked together to get. He took all of that stuff and got him a nice, firm payment. And what did he do?
And King Asa sent them to Ben-Hadad, the son of Tabrimon, the son of Hezion, king of Aram, that dwelt at Damascus.
So go ahead.
Saying, there is a league between me and thee, between my father and thy father. Behold, I have sent unto thee a present of silver and gold. Go, break thy league with Baasa, king of Yisrael, that he may depart from me.
So what he just, so we're all on the same page. He took the tax money that they got from people. They took all of this money and he went to a foreigner and said, I need you to protect me from my brother Israel. Not you, Israel. And that's what we do. That's what he did. We can't come together to work together, but we could pay foreigners to come together to work against. We could work with the foreigner against our own people. Ain't that something?
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's something. Nice message too. There's a league between me and you.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if he would have, if I'm the king of Syria, that's a nice money league. Send some people down there. Come on.
Verse 20. And Ben-Hadad hearkened unto King Asa, and sent the captains of his armies against the cities of Yisrael, and smote Iyon and Dan and Abel Beth Ma'achat, and all Kinneroth, with all the land of Naphtali.
Okay, so now, just to kind of give you a strategic, Syria is to the northeast of Israel. Syria is to the northeast of Israel. So so now they had to go through all of Israel to get to Syria to send this message. So what Syria did was now Syria came down and smote the northernmost tribes. That's how you get Dan, and you get and they smote Naphtali, which is those northernmost tribes right up there, and that's who they came and they smote. Come on.
21. And it came to pass when Baasa heard thereof, that he left off building Ramah and dwelt in Tirzah.
Because what happened is, so now because he's hearing that there's war in the north, now he has to relocate his forces and his resources from down where when he was building that wall and those fortresses, because he had to send them up there because they had to protect the northern border.
Then King Asa made a proclamation unto all Yehudah. None was exempted, and they carried away the stones of Ramah and the timber thereof, wherewith Baasa had builded, and King Asa built therewith Geba of Benjamin and Mitzpah.
Right. So what he did now, so the king of Israel started to build this wall and this fort. Once the king of Israel left off from building that wall so that they could go protect the northern border, then the king of Judah came up, and the stones that they set to start to build that wall, they started to take those stones, and they took those stones back and, built something else.
Verse 23. Now the rest of all the acts of Asa, and all his might, and all that he did, and the cities which he built, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Yehudah?
Hold on, is it just me or is it hot in here? It's me? Okay. Ain't nobody hot? Ooh, that's not good. Okay, come on. Stop being.
Middle of verse 23.
Come on, y'all got a fan blowing on nobody, man. Come on with this, man. See, that's the problem. Come on, man. I'm just saying, it's blowing. Oh, Ray. My fault, Ray. You be all right, Ray. Open the window, Ray. Go ahead, man.
Middle of verse 23. But in the time of his old age, he was diseased, in his feet. And Asa slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David, his father. And Jehoshaphat, his son, reigned in his stead. And Nadab, the son of Jeroboam, began to reign over Yisrael in the 2nd year of Asa, king of Yehudah. And he reigned over Yisrael 2 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of Jehovah, and walked in the way of his father, and in his sin wherewith he made Yisrael to sin.
So now you have Jeroboam's son. Jeroboam dies. His son comes into power, and his son continues the same practices that Jeroboam, his father, did. Come on.
Verse 27. And Baasa, the son of Ahijah, of the house of Zaccar, conspired against him, and Baasa smote him at Gibbethon, which belonged to the Philistines. For Nadab and all Yisrael were laying siege to Gibbethon. Even in the,
so, okay. So just and they're gonna talk a little bit more about Baasa. You know, again, what the history is doing is just jumping back and forth. But just to let you know about this dude Nadab and how bad he was. Bad like bad, not bad good. This city of Gibbethon was actually a Levitical city. It was a Levitical city in Dan, and what he did was he surrounded and laid siege to the city because the Levites were in the city. Because what was happening was people were still going up, even though Jeroboam had set the practice of instituting his own priests and his own Levites so that they could do the worship all throughout Israel. But in this Levitical city, where they were still doing certain godly acts, and they didn't want that being done. So basically what he did was he laid siege to that city so that people wouldn't be able to go in to get to the real Levites and priests to do their offerings, so that they would continue to go to Jeroboam's priests in order to do their offerings. That makes sense? Okay, we good.
Verse 28. Even in the 3rd year of Asa, king of Yehudah, did Baasa slay him and reigned in his stead. And it came to pass that...
So now you get into the point where Judah still has that steady line with their 2 tribes. They still have their steady line of kings. But right now, you're going to run into a slew of just different people from the tribes of Israel. They just coming in, and now it's just like martial law. The army come in, you slay who's in charge, and then you become in charge. That's basically what's going on right now. It's just what a good gangster mobster movie is made of. Come on.
Verse 29. And it came to pass that as soon as he was king, he smote all the house of Jeroboam. He left not to Jeroboam any that breathed until he had destroyed him, according to the saying of Jehovah, which he spoke by the hand of his servant Ahijah the Shilonite, for the sins of Jeroboam which he sinned, and wherewith he made Yisrael to sin, because of his provocation wherewith he provoked Jehovah, the God of Yisrael.
So as soon as he came in, the first thing that he did was all of Jeroboam's seed, he killed and he cut off.
Verse 31. Now the rest of the acts of Nadab and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Yisrael? And there was war between Asa and Baasa, king of Yisrael, all their days. Verse 33. In the 3rd year of Asa, king of Yehudah, began Baasa, the son of Ahijah, to reign over all Yisrael in Tirzah, and reigned 24 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of Jehovah, and walked in the way of Jeroboam, and in his sin wherewith he made Yisrael to sin. Chapter 16, verse 1. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And the word of Jehovah came to Jehu, the son of Hanani, against Baasa, saying, Forasmuch as I exalted thee out of the dust, and made thee prince over my people Yisrael, and thou hast walked in the way of Jeroboam.
What the Most High does is the Most High gives different people, gives different people their shot at leadership. And once you get your shot as leadership, you have the choice to do right or to do wrong. And, you know, I know a lot of us we can't understand the concept and the power associated with like being a king or anything like that. But like being a king and having that type of power, just like what Asa did, you can make changes. And you could cause, you can cause people to change, and you can do a lot of different things. But it's a funny thing about leadership, right? Leadership or being a leader, they'll tell you that the best leaders aren't necessarily the strongest people. The best leaders are usually the people who are most charismatic, that can get people to buy in to what they're trying to put forth. Those are the best leaders. Strong as you want. If you think about David, as mighty as David wasn't the strongest.
No.
They talk about those top 3 of David's men, and David wasn't in it.
No.
They talk about that top 33 of David's men, and David wasn't in it. So it's not necessarily about being the strongest. It's not about being the loudest. It's not about the bark and all of those different things. What made David, like other leaders, different was David, with all of the menacing people that David had around him, David had the charisma to get them to do what he wanted them to do. And that's why God loved him, because David took some of the baddest, you talking about gangster. David had some real gangster dude. Like real gangsters, not fake gangsters like we got today. You know what I'm saying? And when they did stuff like, remember when they went out to war and they came back and they was like, listen, they was tired, they couldn't go nowhere. They ain't getting none of they not gonna get none of the spoil. We splitting the spoil. They was tired, they wasn't too tough to go.
King David said.
And David was like, now hold on. Hold on. We getting an equal share. Everybody getting an equal share. The people who went and the people who stayed. I'm just saying.
Right.
But they all gave an equal share through all of the mumbling and the grumbling. So when we start thinking about leadership, because again, leadership is a quality that we as a people need to learn to possess. Right. Because the fact of the matter is we're in a place, where people need to look at us, and we need to be able to inspire people in order to do better. That's our job. Right. Leadership starts at home. You need to be able to inspire. Listen, when you talk about the distractions being great, don't listen. I guarantee you, if you ask any kid in here, would you rather be listening to service or playing PS4? What would you rather do? And they might say, we rather listen to service, but they thinking PS4.
Nah, they honest.
You think they honest?
They said PS4.
They said, he must say PS4. Because she knew them kids. She knew them kids going to say PS4.
They said PS4.
That's okay. If it wasn't for God, I'd probably be somewhere playing PS4 too. But that's what happens is we have to prioritize, and we need to understand what's important. Right. But the thing is we as a people, we as parents, we as adults, we need to find a way. We need to find a way to reach our children, to get them on the same page as us. Right. Because if we don't, we're going to lose them. Right. And I always thought, because that's how my mother dealt with us, right? I always thought that kid do wrong, you shoot out a quick marker, they're going to straighten up, and they're going to understand. They might straighten up for the moment, but that don't mean they understand. And it came to a point where, like, I remember Maisha, she had to tell me, listen, you can't always toss out a marker. Right. Sometimes you just need to kind of talk to them and Talk to him and tell him and explain to him certain things. Sometimes when kids do wrong, rather than, listen, don't shoot me on this one. Sometimes when kids do wrong, rather than throwing them a beating, sometimes you just need to give them a hug. So when y'all go home, y'all come home because they out of school, and y'all see peanut butter and jelly all over the wall, don't give them no marker. Just give them a hug. A sarcastic. I hear a couple of different hands. I hear a couple of different hands in there. Hands that probably should be in service. Saying. Yo, y'all hear them hands? But seriously, you know, funny thing about discipline is discipline doesn't always have to be a marker. Right. You know, when you trying to get somebody to understand something, a marker might not always be the answer. But it might be the answer, but it might not always be the answer. What happened? Huh? Oh, me? Nah, I ain't. Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably. Nah, I started giving markers a long time. When the last time you got a marker? See? It's only one kid in here that I'm going to be giving a marker. Actually, that's not true because sometimes I'm one of those people that I see kids doing wrong. I might dish out a marker anyway. But, I mean, that's just how we was taught.
That's what I'm saying.
Markers work for some kids, and markers don't work for others. And the thing about, see, that's why being a parent is hard sometimes because we need to understand the difference between the two. And a lot of times we don't. Because we give a marker out of frustration rather than giving a marker out of trying to provide discipline and correction. That sound like Dr. Phil right now? That's what I was going for. Not really Dr. Phil, but I can't really think of no black doctor right now, so I just went with Dr. Phil. Because he close enough. He close enough. You know what I'm saying? He Oprah. Come on.
Beginning of verse 2. For as much as I exalted thee out of the dust, and made thee prince over my people Yisrael, and thou hast walked in the way of Jeroboam, and hast made my people Yisrael to sin, to provoke me with their sins, behold, I will utterly sweep away Baasa and his house, and I will make thy house like the house of Jeroboam the son of Nebat. Him that dieth of Baasa in the city shall the dogs eat, and him that dieth of his in the field shall the fowls of the air eat. Now the rest of the acts of Baasa and what he did and his might, are they not written in the books of the chronicles of the kings of Yisrael?
So the same thing that Baasa did to Jeroboam seed is the same thing that's now going to happen to Baasa seed because he had the opportunity to turn God's people around, and he did. Come on.
And Baasa slept with his fathers and was buried in Tirzah, and Elah his son reigned in his stead. Verse 7. And moreover, by the hand of the prophet Jehu, the son of Hanani, came the word of Yahweh against Baasa and against his house, both because of all the evil that he did in the sight of Yahweh, to provoke him with the works of his hands, in being like the house of Jeroboam, and because he smote him. And in the 26th year of Asa, king of Yehuda.
The funny part, hold on. Mm-hmm. If you notice what actually happened here, so Baasa's house is gonna get punished because he stayed in the sins of Jeroboam, but also because he smote Jeroboam and cut Jeroboam's seed off, which is what he was prophesied to do anyway, which is what he was directed to do anyway. Yet he's still getting punished for it. Come on.
Verse 8. In the 26th year of Asa, king of Yehuda, began Elah, the son of Baasa, to reign over Yisrael in Tirzah, and reigned 2 years. And his servant Zimri, captain of half his chariots, conspired against him. Now he was in Tirzah, drinking himself drunk in the house of Arzah, who was over the household in Tirzah. And Zimri went in and smote him, and killed him, in the 27th year of Asa, king of Yehuda. and reigned in his stead.
So now, what happened is, and Maury Arani was talking about this earlier, talking about trust. I mean, it shouldn't be, I mean, if you're going to trust anybody as the king, the person who you need to trust is your captain of the host. And that's who Zimri was. Zimri was the captain of Elah's host. So Elah went, party all the time, having a nice time, eating and drinking. He drunk in his house. The person who's supposed to protect him went in, slew him, and he become king. This is what it came to. Come on.
Verse 11. And it came to pass, when he began to reign, as soon as he sat on his throne, that he smote all the house of Baasa. He left him not a single man-child, neither of his kinfolks nor of his friends.
And so Zimri went in, he killed Elah, and then he killed all of the rest of Baasa's seed. Because, as you know, you got to kill. Now, I don't think Zimri was aware of the prophecy of the Most High. Zimri was just doing what he knew he had to do, because if you don't cut off all his seed, now you're constantly going to have issues where they're going to come back and you're going to be fighting against all of them. So at this point, he went and cut off all his seed just so he don't have no problem. Anybody see The Godfather? Ain't that what The Godfather did? That's right. Zimri today settled all family business. Come on.
Verse 12. Thus did Zimri destroy all the house of Baasa, according to the word of Yahweh, which he spoke against Baasa by Jehu the prophet. For all the sins of Baasa and the sins of Elah his son, which they sinned, and wherewith they made Yisrael to sin, to provoke Yahweh, the God of Yisrael, with their vanities. Now the rest of the acts of Elah and all that he did, are they not written in the books of the chronicles of the kings of Yisrael? Verse 15. In the 27th year of Asa, king of Yehuda, did Zimri reign 7 days in Tirzah.
My man reigned 7 days. He had a whole week. Talk about 15 minutes of fame. Listen. And he killed all them people in like 7 days. Less than 7 days. That's crazy.
Now the people were encamped against Gibbethon, which belonged to the Philistines. And the people that were encamped heard say, Zimri had conspired and hath also smitten the king. Wherefore all Yisrael made Omri, the captain of the host, king over Yisrael that day in the camp.
Right. So now if you remember what you read earlier, was it says Zimri was captain of half the host. Omri was the captain of the other half. So when they found out that Zimri had killed Elah, Omri's people sent and they killed Zimri. Well, they didn't kill Zimri. You're actually gonna see what happened, and then they made Omri king. Come on.
And Omri went up from Gibbethon, and all Yisrael with him, and they besieged Tirzah. And it came to pass when Zimri saw that the city was taken, that he went into the castle of the king's house, and burnt the king's house over him with fire, and died.
So what Zimri did was, so Zimri slew Elah. He slew all of them. For his 7 days, he was balling. He was riding it out. He heard that Omri came and they took the city. Zimri is like, surely this thing is known. Zimri went home, set the house on fire with him in it. That's a real interesting way to kind of go. I mean, I don't think I would want to sit in the house fire burning like, yeah, this is any day now. Any day now. Tell you how silly kids are. I'm gonna tell you a quick story. I remember we was at my aunt's house, my uncle's house, my grandmother's brother, in Jersey. You know, kids have this affinity with playing with matches. Listen, so stupid. I was under the bed playing with a lighter under the bed. And the lighter caught the bed on fire, and I'm under the bed. And everybody running around, and I'm under the damn bed. Excuse me, I'm under the. So then, you know, obviously I get out. Now the bed is up in flames, all that, and they take my mother. My mother looked at me like, "Boy, you about as dumb as bricks." What's wrong, you know? But either way, come on. Just to kind of break it up a little bit, you know.
Yes,
that was a Maka deserver. I got a I got a makkah from my mother. I got a makkah from my grandmother brother, Uncle Sam, and Uncle Sam could dish out a makkah. And I remember for years, we would go. I was grown, 16, 17. Go to Uncle Sam's house, and Uncle Sam, man, I remember you tried to burn my whole house down, man. Burnt the bed and all that. Years. Don't forgive me. That's all he remembered every time he seen my face. Fire starter. Come on, man.
Verse 19. For the sins which he sinned in doing that which was evil in the sight of Yahweh, and walking in the way of Jeroboam, and in his sin which he did, to make Yisrael to sin. Now the rest of the acts of Zimri, and his treason that he wrought,
Treason.
are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Yisrael? Verse 21. Then were the people of Yisrael divided into two parts. Half of the people followed Tibni, the son of Ginath, to make him king, and half followed Omri. But the people that followed Omri prevailed against the people that followed Tibni, the son of Ginath. So Tibni died, and Omri reigned.
So again, you just have this perpetuation of this civil war. So, quick question. Anybody, by a show of hands, anybody ever heard of the term Juneteenth? Show of hands. Yo, put your hand down. You put your hand down. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Go ahead. Okay. All right. So, Juneteenth, or June 9th, I was sitting at work, and they was talking. This was this week, the day after, June 20th, whatever. I'm sitting at work, and so they talking, and they're like, yo, all of the kids were so happy. They got to graduate on Juneteenth and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting around. And so I just had to ask because I wanted to know. I'm like, well, what's Juneteenth? Yo, when I tell you the way they looked at me like, you don't know what Juneteenth is? Yes, ma'am.
Just the 19th, you know. It's from the 13th to the 19th. Juneteenth.
I understand.
The whole thing, but they didn't know exactly the date freedom came. So it was in that week.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. You want the mic?
No, I don't want to.
All right, okay. No, I heard, but the people need online need to hit. Yes, ma'am. Right, so we gonna go back to Juneteenth, right? So these people looking at me like for real, like literally what they told me was like, we ready to revoke your black card right now. They told me at work, I can't do that no more at work. They said you banned for 30 days from doing that at work. You need to go study Juneteenth. So I went and studied Juneteenth, and in addition to what you said, just to kind of explain for everybody, since you don't want the mic, we'll take this up after Shabbat. But for those people who don't know, and this is the history lesson for the day, Juneteenth is the term and the time frame in which the Civil War basically effectively ended on or about April of 1865, plus or minus. Because April, I think it's April like 10th or something like that. That's when the South surrendered. And so that is like the effective date of the end of the Civil War. Right. But they sure didn't tell all the black people that the Civil War was over. So for the next 2 months, you had black people still working, and then at the end of Texas, in Texas, which was the last state to know, the people in Texas, I think it was Galveston, Texas, if I remember correctly, the people in Texas finally got word that the Civil War was over on or about from June 13th to June 19th. And that they were free. So here's the history lesson about Juneteenth. And I'm just sitting there wondering, like, I'd have been like, really? So how long you do this? And you just telling me this now? But anyway, that's us. Juneteenth, come on, let's go.
Verse 23. In the 30th and first year of Asa, king of Judah, began Omri to reign over Israel, and reigned 12 years. 6 years reigned he in Tirzah, And he bought the hill Samaria of Shemer for 2 talents of silver, and he built on the hill and called the name of the city which he built after the name of Shemer, the owner of the hill, Samaria.
So there was that rift between Omri and Tivni for about 6 years. So that civil war, in addition to the civil war that the North was having with the South, Israel and Judah, then there was that internal civil war between Omri and Tivni for plus or minus 6 years. Come on.
25. And Omri did that which was evil in the sight of Yahweh, and dealt wickedly above all that were before him. For he walked in all the way of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, and in his sins wherewith he made Yisrael to sin, to provoke Yahweh, the God of Yisrael, with their vanities.
You know, and the funny thing is, I would think that you would look at this, and you would see the progression of one king and, to another king, and you see how those kings go, that you would figure at some point somebody would look at this and be like, okay, well, I'm going to do better. But nobody did better. They actually did worse.
That's right.
27. Now the rest of the acts of Omri which he did, and his might that he showed, are they not written in the books of the chronicles of the kings of Yisrael? And Omri slept with his fathers and was buried in Samaria, and Ahab his son reigned in his stead. And in the 38th year of Asa king of Yehudah began Ahab the son of Omri to reign over Yisrael. And Ahab the son of Omri reigned over Yisrael in Samaria 22 years. And Ahab the son of Omri did that which was evil in the sight of Yahweh above all that were before him.
And what's going to happen is you're going to read a few chapters about Ahab. You're going to read a few chapters about Ahab in the upcoming weeks. Come on.
And it came to pass, as if it had been a light thing for him to walk in the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, that he took to wife Jezebel, the daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Zidonians, and went and served Baal, and worshipped him. And he reared up an altar for Baal in the house of Baal, which he had built in Samaria.
Right. Okay. So now it said the worst thing, and he did bad. Right. He did bad. But they said the worst thing that he did was he took this woman to wife. And all the bad stuff that he did, they said that they took her. So now that was Jezebel, right? Yeah. So now everybody somebody call you a Jezebel, that's not a good thing. No, I'm saying, that's not a good thing. But actually, we just gonna break down Jezebel for a minute. So actually in Hebrew, the name is Izebel, right? So now, the word E in Hebrew means what? Oh, what more around here at? This ain't good. He went on. The word E in Hebrew means ain't or not, right? This is actually a true story. True story. This is a fact. This is a fact. And the word Zevel in Hebrew means like Zoa or dung. Right. So for all my creative people, if you actually see what Jezebel name me, you know what I'm saying? It's some people laughing. It's some people looking like, what they be? So for the people who thinking, everybody, I said Zoa, I said dung, I said that. So for everybody who didn't get it, we'll talk about it later. But for everybody who did get it, yeah, that was her. So if you got that, boss. So you like Jezebel is something that you could use. You could call a male. You could call a female. You know what? You a Jezebel, and it'll fit anywhere you use it. Let's finish it out.
Verse 33.
But that's actually true. If you look it up, you'll see that it's true. Did Maury Arania teach y'all that in Hebrew class? When y'all went on that walk, he ain't explain it. He ain't explain that in the park? Okay. All right. All right, so he the good Hebrew teacher, and I'm the bad Hebrew teacher. You know what I'm saying? So whenever you mad at somebody and you want some Hebrew words to call, come see me. I got you. Come on, let's finish it out.
Verse 33. And Ahab made the Asherah And Ahab did yet more to provoke Yahweh, the God of Yisrael, than all the kings of Yisrael that were before him. In his days did Kael the Bethelite build Jericho with Abijam his firstborn. He laid the foundation thereof. And with his youngest son, Segub, he set up the gates thereof, according to the word of Yahweh, which he spoke by the hand of Yehoshua the son of Nun. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All honors, praises, respect, acknowledgement, and thanks I offer unto the great King of the universe, to the God of our fathers, to the God of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, thanking you for your time and your attention, thanking the Most High God for all things and everything. Shabbat Shalom L'Kol.
Shabbat Shalom Zaccar.